everyone, Jennifer Segares here and welcome to video 2. And in this video training we're going to talk about how you can launch your personal brand so that you can accelerate in your career or grow your business so that you can make more money, more impact, more clients, more, true freedom. But before you can truly get the benefits of leveraging your personal brand, first you have to launch it. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So the first thing that you need to understand is, where is your audience hanging out? Because if you're going to launch a personal brand, you have to be able to impact the people and you have to be able to reach these people with your content. So where are they hanging out? The next thing that we're going to talk about is how do you get to distribute your content? And then what types of content should you be creating to distribute them on the platforms where they are hanging out? And then the next thing is, how are you actually going to generate traffic so that you're not just on a platform posting content and more content and nobody sees it and it gets frustrating, but where you're actually able to generate traffic on the content to really, truly impact people. And that leads us to the identifying of all different platforms that we should be on and launching our personal brand and our professional brand. And the last but not least thing is that we're going to talk about it just a little bit quickly. And that's the importance of having a place where people can reach out to you to learn more about how to contact you and even potentially buy from you. And that's what we'll talk about in regards to your website or other versions of that. So let's get started. Now, as we talked about Hangout hotspots, we're really just saying, where is your audience hanging out? Where's the hottest spot that you can reach them? And so the biggest platform that people are hanging out statistically would be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And these are some of the more popular big platforms that lots and lots of people, billions of people in fact, are spending their time on consuming content. And so the first thing is identifying where they're hanging out, which leads us to the next one, which would be distribution. So not only do you want to be on those primary platforms where your audience is likely to be hanging out so that you can easily distribute your content to them, but you could potentially also identify some smaller niche hangout hotspots. For example, maybe there's a blog, an article or publication where people are creating great content and your audience is going there to consume that content. You could find out unique ways to launch your personal brand, to collaborate with somebody who already has a blog that's getting a lot of audience to hang out there with them and read that you could collaborate and create some content and distribute it there. So you've got your broad global platforms where your audience is generally hanging out, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. And find the groups and the pages where they're hanging on as well. And then maybe you've got some nice niche categories that your audience could be spending the time on. Could also be a podcast. Maybe they tune in and listen to a specific podcast on a subject matter, or you could find a way to distribute your content or be interviewed or, anything along those lines. So where are they hanging out? How can you distribute your content on there? Which is pretty easy because social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, blah, 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 are free. So really, distributing your content on there is relatively easy, but figure out the groups that they're at. Now, if you do want to figure out how to get on someone else's podcast, if you want to figure out how to distribute content on someone else's blog, those are more of the collaborative experiences where you're going to talk to that person about what it is that they're looking for. And then you can see how you can create valuable content. And realize that the word I keep using is valuable. But I'll be honest, it might not happen immediately, meaning you have to become the person. You have to become the person that they want to collaborate with. You have to become the person that they look at as a subject matter expert. Be the recognized leader in your niche. Otherwise, why would they create you content for your audience that they have worked so hard to create if you don't have value to provide as well? So it's not a matter of every single thing is going to be a home run and every single person is not going to want to work with you. Honestly, that's why this is important. You develop a personal brand, you launch it, and you establish yourself eventually, if you choose to, as an authority where people are reaching out to you, asking you to be on their podcast or be featured in the publication, to be interviewed, to be in their article, anything along those lines. So having a personal brand and launching your personal brand is ultimately the beginning. And you have to have some goals here because you need to figure out what people want to hire you, who you want to work with. Do they have their own platforms? Do they distribute content and services to their audience? So that's why it's just as important to launch a personal brand and your business brand, because you should have some type of goal that you're working towards. So you're hanging out with your audiences on different platforms. You're distributing to them. You're producing different content for them. And that's the most important part I want to hone in on. So think about this. You might be thinking, what type of content should I create? Should I be posting the food that I'm eating? Hint, no. Should I be posting my travel? Well, maybe, maybe not. It really depends on the perception you want to have, the value that you want to have on your audience. Because let's be honest, people are really not going to be on social media or any other buying platform from someone if they don't see that person as an influencer, as a thought leader, and as an expert. So if you want to post your food and your vacation, it's not really going to help you add value. It's not going to bring people in up on your ascension to buy your products and services. So you probably shouldn't do that. So your content should be about solving a problem, and your content should be adding value. And there's a distinction. Your content should not only be informative, because if I can look it up on the internet, why do I need you to produce the content? So your content should be insightful, it should be short, it should be actionable, and it should help me as a consumer get the result that I want. Because if it's just information that I could look up online, you're no longer valuable. So a good way to look at it is if there's a lot of valuable books online that somebody should read to get a result, you could go out and you could read that book. And then your content on social media and the platforms that we mentioned should be or could be something along the lines of summarizing a book. You could do a little seminar or a business event or a conference or a webinar, and you can give them a lot of valuable information, and you can start to break it down in really tiny, snackable, little short pieces of content that people could consume on social media, because most people aren't going to do the work. Most people aren't going to read the book. Most people aren't going to invest in the program, the coaching or the mentorship or the seminar or the travel. Most people won't put in the work. So if you are willing to put in the work and read the books or go to the seminars or make the necessary investments, study all the different YouTube channels to get all the free information you can, and then you simply become a beacon, a person who facilitates simple versions of content that are a lot more work and complex to get access to. So for example, your feed, your Instagram feed, your YouTube feed, your Facebook channel or page, group, whatever, they could all have little tiny short version pieces, content summarizing these greats, because it's unlikely that you're trying to teach content that's never been taught before. It's unlikely that you're going to solve a problem or give some form of help or a solution that doesn't already exist. So think of it this way. When producing content, you're not trying to be the expert. You're not trying to be a self-proclaimed guru. We don't need more people like that. There's too much of that self-aggrandizing going on as it is. There's already enough people trying to do that, and we need real people. We need you to step up into your power, become your best self, revolutionize yourself, and build your personal brand, your business brand that's authentic, that creates real impact through valuable content that actually has a purpose. And a lot of those times that people are on social media or, they're just producing content that has no substance. It has very little authenticity, and it really doesn't add any connection, any relevancy or value to the users. So when you're developing your content, you want to have actual value. Lots of people think when creating content and developing and launching the personal brand, what value do I have? Well, if I just said you don't need to be the expert, which I did, you just need to facilitate the content, how easy for you is it to go and read a book from a true expert, summarize it, summarize the chapters, create short little videos, short little written posts with a photo. It's pretty simple. There you go. And so the first thing you want to do is understand the perception. as we talked about earlier, that you want to have the understanding of the industry, the niche, the target audience that you're going after. You need to figure out how you can create content that helps them, because they might be searching for a solution or to a problem or anything like that, and they might not have read the book that you have read. They might not have actually done the research that you have. Now, a lot of the times I find that people just have excuses, and then they don't act, and they don't solve their problems. They might just go, well, hey, you know what? I'm out of shape. Or, hey, you know what? I don't know how to buy or sell a house. Or, I don't know how to get started online. And then they don't take the actions necessary to solve the problem, to get the solution. They try one thing. It doesn't work. Meh, I tried. Never mind. I'll give up. So if you can constantly give them little nuggets of value, because you eventually want to be an expert, you eventually want to become an influencer, you eventually want to be a thought leader, you want to be that person that people look to, you need then to work your way up and become the person who has the skills, who has the expertise. Now, there's an old saying, you don't need to be miles ahead of somebody to give them advice. You only need to be one chapter ahead. So think about that. If you could literally and metaphorically be one chapter ahead of somebody on that thing that you can help them with. You want to be a health and wellness expert? Well, then go out and read the books. Summarize them in short little videos, short little posts, add a couple of cute little pictures, away you go. Then eventually I look you up on social media, right? I look you up and I hear about you. I come across your content and I see that you are a wealth of knowledge, or you have a wealth of summarizing all the knowledge that already exists. And so in the beginning stages of anything, including personal branding, you're probably going to start copying, regurgitating, and emulating someone else's materials. Just like when you start to read the piano, or learn the piano, or you learn to read sheet music. It's someone else's stuff. When you learn how to cook, you follow someone else's recipe. When you learn how to paint, you follow someone else's painting. And then eventually, when you want to start your own business, you learn from someone who's already done it. And that way, you eventually get the confidence and the knowledge and the skills to play your own music, to cook your own meals, to paint your own paintings, and to start your own business. And just like when trying to develop and launch a personal brand and business brand and position yourself as the go-to person, you don't want to start off that way. You're usually going to study all the materials out there, share it, and then people facilitate and broker the value and say, hey, this is the best stuff I've seen. And eventually, people will see you and perceive you as the go-to person. So in the beginning stages, as with anything, you're probably going to learn from someone else, share their materials, credit them. And then after you've done that for so long, you'll get the confidence to start creating your own versions of content. And then eventually, after doing that long enough, when someone looks you up and someone perceives you as someone who they want to talk to, you'll be like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then you are the best at the health and wellness or whatever content you're in, whatever niche you're in, because you've now taken the time to create hundreds of pieces of content on specific subjects. And it's in the beginnings, it starts with someone else's and later it becomes yours. And that is how you develop authority. That is how you become an influencer or a thought leader or potentially even an expert. Again, that shouldn't necessarily be the goal. The goal should be to add value to individuals online and start creating content instead of consuming content. And that's the real differentiator when launching your personal brand. You identify how you're going to create value through creating content instead of just consuming it. And the best part is you really only have to allocate about 5 or 10 minutes a day. That's it. Eventually, you'll see that it starts to pay off and it'll really pay off. And so you're probably going to do more and more of it. But the average person, research shows, spends about 45 to an hour on social media every day, consuming content. So all we're really advising is that if you want to launch your personal brand and your business brand, you take a little bit of time of the time that you're consuming content and you reallocate it to creating content, creating value. And that shift from consuming content to creating content over months, over years, could be one of the biggest impacts on your career, your business, and your ultimate success. So that's why when launching your brand, it's something that I highly, highly advise you to do. It is the basis of your online strategy. And that is why I'm providing these free trainings for you to give you understanding and awareness and the foundational steps to be able to get started. And so now that you have an understanding of where your audience is hanging out, how can you distribute to them? What platforms are they on? What content can you create? Now, you didn't know how to generate traffic yet, did you? Well, there's only 3 ways to generate traffic. You can pay for it. You can run ads, you can run promotions, you can borrow it. Someone else could promote you on their podcast or their blog, or shout out or tag you in a social media, or you could borrow their audience. Or you can create it, meaning you can start creating content. People see it organically for free because someone liked it, someone shared it, someone commented, maybe potentially it goes viral or micro-viral. Things start to get shared organically because the internet favors content that people like and that people consume, that people share and that they comment on. And so if you create content and people like it and they engage with it, they will share it and they'll keep coming back to it. The algorithm of social media will automatically then for free share your content. And that is why, for example, a cute cat video gets shared by everyone because it's a fun video that people can laugh at or relate to. It's cute, it's cuddly, so everybody engages with it and it gets shared fast. Now, I'm not saying at all do cat videos, but what I am recommending is that you figure out what it is and in which way it is that you want to generate traffic. Do you want to create it? Do you want to borrow it? Or do you want to come up with a way to effectively buy traffic so that you can grow really quickly? Now, each one of these comes with its own level of complexities and skill sets needed. And we're going to talk about that in the upcoming free training as well. So now that you know the different contents and the different ways to generate traffic, the last thing that we're going to talk about right now is having a way that's clear and concise for people to reach out to you. Now, a lot of people refer to a website, which is a great way to do it, obviously. And it's a great way that people can connect on social media through, your pages and what have you. It's easy. People understand it. But what I also recommend at some point is through the evolution of your personal brand. So consider having a website, a professional place that you can send people through social media, that they can find you and they can find out about your mission, your vision, your products, your services, your skill set, how you can help them as a business, how you can help them as your own career professional, your freelance worker. A website really is a very powerful way for you to be able to create all the information that you need for your client to, prospect, to singularly, figure out who you are, so you can obviously now create a version of your website that is right for you. And there's a lot of great ways to launch your brand. And I've covered some of the foundational stuff to help you get a clear step-by-step process to at least beginning to create content and launching your personal brand. Now, I hope that this training has been really helpful for you. I want you to start taking action because nothing is going to happen if you don't act on the information that has been given to you, right? So go out, read that book, create content, and of course, I'm going to see you in the next training. It's free, and it's all about monetizing your personal brand. Now, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you today. My name is Jennifer Seguers, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.